Hi and welcome to episode number 9 about the Yocto Project and OpenEmbedded on Raspberry Pi 5. In this episode we're going to talk about I2C, which is a bus for adding various peripheral devices. The demonstrations will be featuring this tiny yellow-blue display. The first step is obviously to start by building an image with bitbake that features enabled I2C. As you remember from the very first episode of these tutorials, I started using Yocto release scarp.gov, so I will go into the same directory where I built all the previous images for the previous tutorials. After quickly initializing the build environment, using Vim, my favorite text editor, I added additional configurations for I2C to the file conf/local.conf. On the first line, as the name of the variable suggests, I've enabled I2C with enable_I2C equals to 1. On the second line, for the family of rpi system on a chip, which of course features Raspberry Pi 5, I've extended the variable kernel_module_autoload. The idea is to autoload the I2C kernel modules. One last thing, using the image underscore variable that you know from the previous tutorials, I've included in our image I2C tools and SSD1306. These packages will help me during the demonstration. After saving these modifications to conf/local.conf, I built a new image. Actually, this is an incremental build. You know the drill from the previous tutorials. I'm testing with core image base, so I typed in the command line interface bitbake space core image base. By the way, as usual, the exact commands are available as part of the description of the video, so if you want to follow this tutorial and reproduce exactly the same image on your build machine, you can just do copy and paste. Just to remind you that all these tutorials are based on the long-term support release of the Yocto project called scarp.gov, and I'm using meta-raspberrypi, which is a community-maintained BSP layer. For more details, please have a look at the previous episodes if you have missed them. I2C, also known as I2C, stands for Inter-Integrated Circuit. This is a bus that allows you to connect various peripheral devices such as displays or sensors to an embedded Linux computer or a microcontroller. This protocol has been invented by Philips in 1982. It is widely used in various consumer and embedded devices, including in embedded Linux devices like Raspberry Pi single-board computers. You need only 2 wires for the communication, one line for the data and one line for the clock. Each device connected on I2C has a unique address. From the software side, on Raspberry Pi, we have the closed-source Raspberry Pi GPU firmware, which acts as the first bootloader and parses a file called config.txt. This file is stored on the FAT boot partition. It is a plain text file with any style format to configure hardware and system options. Think of it as the BIOS configuration on your laptop, but in this case for Raspberry Pi. By setting the enable_I2C variable to 1, as we did in the previous step in the video, receive rp-config, that is part of the meta-raspberrypi BSP layer, adds a couple of lines to config.txt. This is something very specific for Raspberry Pi, and as a result, the I2C bus will be enabled. In 2014, Raspberry Pi introduced the 40-pin header, which has been used on all versions and models of the Raspberry Pi single-board computer since then. The I2C bus is on pins 3 and 5. Although I can attach an I2C peripheral device directly to them, in this video demonstration I'll be using ANAVI Info uHAT. This is an open source hardware add-on board for Raspberry Pi that I have designed, and it has a special slot for attaching the SSD1306 display. In order to operate, this display also needs a power supply with voltage of 3.3 volts, which we can get from the 40-pin header of the Raspberry Pi 5. Using my ANAVI Info uHAT make things easier for this demonstration. I have also attached a USB to UART dongle, and I plugged the micro SD card on which I flashed the core image base that I built on the previous step. Finally, to complete the wiring, I've plugged in the USB-C power supply into the Raspberry Pi 5. I'm using the official Raspberry Pi 5 power supply. Now let's have some fun. I'll show you a couple of demonstrations. As I have already mentioned, each I2C device has an address. So in Linux user space, let's use the command line interface application I2C detect, which is part of the I2C tools, to scan the I2C bus. It should show us the address of the display that I have attached. So let's go back to the desk. As you know from my other videos, I really like ThinkPad laptops. So here I have Lenovo ThinkPad T14 running Ubuntu 24.04, to which I have connected the Raspberry Pi 5 on the previous step in the video. By default, Ubuntu uses a heavily modified GNOME desktop environment. On it, I've opened the terminal application, and in the terminal application, I executed the screen command, which you know from my previous videos. The point of this is to establish a serial communication between the laptop and the Raspberry Pi 5. As soon as I plugged in the USB-C cable, the Raspberry Pi 5 booted. On the microSD card, I have the core image base that we've built on the previous step, so I can log in as root without any password. Through the serial communication, I've typed in I2C detect, which was executed on the Raspberry Pi 5. I specified the Y argument to disable interactive mode, and I also specified the I2C bus. As you can see, as a result, I2C detect found the display and reported that its address is 3C. Of course, this is a hex address. If I remove the display, I2C detect won't find it. By the way, on the 40-pin header of Raspberry Pi, there are two I2C buses, but users are supposed to use only the first bus. That's why we specify the argument 1 to I2C detect. Last test with the scan, I put the display back and it was detected. I have successfully attached this mini OLED display to the I2C bus and it was detected. Now let's do something far more interesting and show some text on it. If you remember, at the beginning of the video, I built core image base by including the package SSD1306 provided by the recipe with the same name that comes from meta-OpenEmbedded/meta-OE. This is a Linux user space I2C driver for the SSD1306 mini OLED display. The source code is written in C and it's available under the MIT license in GitHub. In the README file that is part of the Git repository in GitHub, you'll find useful information how to use this simple command line application and specify different parameters to interact with the mini OLED display. I want to write some text on this display, and in order to do it, I have to execute a bunch of commands. All these commands are available in the description of the video, so if you have the same setup, you can just do copy and paste. The first command is to initialize the display with resolution of 128 by 64 pixels. The second command is to clear all lines of the display. The third command is to explicitly set the rotation of the display to normal. The fourth command is to set the position in the left upper corner of the display, which means X position 1 and Y position 1. Finally, I can write text. So with the fifth command, I will write hello world on the very first line of the display. This is a yellow-blue display, which in the universe of the SSD1306 displays means that the top row, the first line of the display, is yellow and the rest of the lines are blue. No other colors are supported. I carried on the demonstration by typing in a command to position on the second line and to show the text the Yocto Project on it. As you can see, this line is blue. I repeated this once again, but this time by positioning on a line 3 and typing in on Raspberry Pi 5. So as a result, we have the very first line, which is yellow and says hello world, the second line that says the Yocto Project, and the third line on Raspberry Pi 5. The second and the third lines are blue. By the way, you can find similar displays with different color options. A link to the particular display that I'm using in this demonstration is available in the description of the video. This type of mini OLED SSD1306 displays are very popular for hobby electronics because they're very affordable. However, there are also a lot of limitations. The I2C communication is slow, so as a result, the refresh rate on the display is also slow. If you need faster display, consider buying one that works over serial peripheral interface, also known as SPI. So let's summarize what we've learned. I built core image based with enabled I2C thanks to the variable enable_I2C. This is something specific that comes from meta-raspberrypi BSP layer. I ensured that the I2C Linux kernel driver modules will be auto-loaded at runtime. I added I2C tools and used I2C detect to scan for I2C devices as part of the demonstration in this video. I use the SSD1306 recipe from meta-OpenEmbedded/meta-OE. This is a Linux user space driver written in C to control the mini OLED display. By the way, you can create your own driver using any different programming language. For the demonstrations in this video, I used Raspberry Pi 5, USB to UART debug dongle, the open source hardware add-on board that I have designed, ANAVI Info uHAT, an SSD1306 mini OLED I2C display, and appropriate power supply. The command line application that I use to interact with the mini OLED display through the Linux user space is written in C. The source code is available in GitHub. A couple of years ago, I was helping students from the Plovdiv University to get started with the Yocto Project and OpenEmbedded. As part of this task, I found this little application and I really liked it. Because of this, I added a recipe for it in the upstream of meta-OE, which is a sublayer of meta-OpenEmbedded. There are various different I2C devices and there are a lot of sensors. Please let me know which one would you like to be covered in the next episodes. I already have some ideas for sensors that I typically use for temperature, humidity, and light. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay tuned for new videos. Hope to see you soon.